When we think of the world's great forests, names like the Amazon, the Congolian rainforest, or the vast Burmese jungles come to mind. These are the lungs of our planet, sprawling, ancient, and rich with life. But what if the greatest forest on Earth wasn't on land, but hidden beneath the waves? The truth is that land has given home to most of the largest jungles on Earth, but today, each of them faces relentless pressure from wildfires, deforestation, and the steady hand of human expansion. We watch helplessly as smoke clouds the horizon, as chainsaws echo through once untouched canopies, and as the very guardians of our atmosphere begin to vanish. Now, what you might not know is that plunged beneath the ocean's skin, our world is transformed. Here, there is no fire, no smoke. Instead, a vast and silent forest sways to the rhythm of the tides. Towering fronds of golden kelp rise like pillars, their canopy stretching toward the sunlight. Shafts of light pierce the water, painting shifting mosaics on the seafloor. It feels alive, breathing, eternal, and yet, most of us don't even know it exists. This place is called the Great African Sea Forest, one of the planet's most mysterious ecosystems. A forest so full of secrets, it challenges everything we thought we knew about life beneath the waves. I'm Alex Turner. Let's explore the Amazon of the ocean. Hidden in its shadows are creatures that shouldn't exist. Ancient survival strategies more ingenious than any human invention, and perhaps keys that could determine the fate of our climate, our food, and our children's future. Scientifically, it is staggering because this living forest stretches along South Africa's coast for more than 1,000 kilometers. That's the same distance you'd travel driving from Cape Town to Namibia or from London all the way down to Rome. It is formed by towering kelp, some growing up to 0.5 meter in a single day, rivaling the speed of bamboo, one of the fastest growing plants on land. Individual strands can soar up to 15 meters high, as tall as a 5-story building swaying silently beneath the waves. It also rivals the Amazon rainforest in productivity, pulling vast amounts of carbon from the atmosphere, locking it into its roots and fronds, and becoming a silent ally in the fight against climate change. But unlike the rainforests we read about in textbooks, the Great African Sea Forest is a submerged jungle. To enter it, you don't walk, you dive, and when you do, you step into another world. But that description barely does it justice. Imagine walking into an ancient cathedral. The light is dim, golden, filtered through stained glass, casting moving patterns across stone floors. Now replace the glass with water and the stone with sand, and you'll come close to the feeling of diving into this kelp forest. Each towering frond of kelp rises like a tree, stretching from the ocean floor to the shimmering ceiling of sunlight above. The canopy is alive, swaying with the rhythm of the sea, as if the forest itself is breathing. Beneath it, shadows with entire ecosystems which shifts and thrive. Scientists call it one of the most biodiverse marine ecosystems on Earth, yet many people have never even heard of it. And so we ask the million-dollar question, which is, what shocking secrets does this hidden forest hold for our planet and for our future? The hidden world revealed. Deep down in the Great African Sea forest lies the pajama shark, named for the bold stripes across its body, glides silently through these kelp, camouflaged by shadow and light. On the seafloor, sea snails with iron-coated teeth scrape against the rocks, with teeth so durable that scientists are studying them for materials engineering. Hidden in crevices, octopuses displays the ability to use tools, something once thought uniquely human. They gather shells, cocoon themselves inside, and carry them as portable armor against predators. Even the kelp itself is a marvel of survival. It grows at a rate of up to 0.5 meter every single day with an underwater bamboo, feeding an entire web of life with its relentless energy. Fish hide in its canopy, sea otters once hunted among its tangles, and microscopic organisms flourish on its blades. Every inch of this forest is alive, and yet there are secrets here even stranger than sharks and tool-using octopuses. Secrets that scientists are only beginning to uncover. Beneath the kelp, where the forest grows thinner and the light begins to fade, lies one of the most fragile and rare habitats ever discovered in Africa's oceans. At first glance, it looks unremarkable as a scattering of pink, coral-like nodules resting on the seabed. But these are no ordinary stones. They are rhodoliths, living structures made of red algae slowly accumulating layer upon layer of calcium carbonate over decades, even centuries. Each rhodolith is alive, and together they form vast beds sprawling fields of color that remain hidden from human eyes. Their role in the sea forest is shocking. These fragile nodules act as anchors for kelp in deeper waters, holding the forest in place where rocks are scarce. And they serve as nurseries, sheltering young fish, shellfish, and countless microscopic organisms. Without them, much of the forest's life cycle would simply collapse. What makes them even more extraordinary and tragic is their fragility. Rhodoliths grow at an almost unimaginable pace with just a millimeter a year. A careless trawl, a dredge, or a warming ocean can destroy what took centuries to build. And yet, until recently, almost no one outside the scientific community even knew they existed along Africa's coast. A hidden nursery, a silent foundation. The sea forest doesn't just grow from the obvious. It depends on fragile, secret worlds that remain unseen, even as they support life itself, long before skyscrapers rose above our cities. Long before the first seeds were sown in fields, humans stood on the shores and looked to the ocean for survival. During the ice ages, when the land turned cold and food was scarce, it was the ocean's forest that kept our ancestors alive. The great African sea forest was one of the human lifeline, providing things like abalone, mussels, fish, and seaweeds, which provided the nutrition that sustained early humans through some of Earth's harshest climates. Archaeological sites along the Cape Coast show evidence of humans harvesting from these kelp-rich waters more than 100,000 years ago. But the connection runs deeper than food. For indigenous coastal communities, the sea has always been more than a resource. It was and remains a realm of myth, of spiritual significance, a place where ancestors' voices could be heard in the crashing of waves and the whisper of kelp fronds beneath the tide. And so, this submerged forest has always been part of humanity's survival story. It shaped our past. It still shapes our present. And perhaps it may yet determine our future. For most of us, kelp is little more than something washed up on a beach. But in truth, these sea forests may be among the most powerful allies we have in the fight for a livable future. Now, let's consider it from this angle. Kelp absorbs carbon dioxide faster than many trees on land. In doing so, it quietly draws down greenhouse gases, storing them in its tissues and in the seabed when it dies. These submerged jungles act as giant, hidden lungs for our planet. But unlike rainforests, they never catch fire. The benefits extend beyond the atmosphere. Within kelp, scientists are discovering bioactive compounds with extraordinary properties. Extracts are already used in pharmaceuticals, and researchers believe some may hold the key to future medicines, perhaps even cures we cannot yet imagine. Kelp is also food. It is rich in protein, vitamins, and minerals. As the world grapples with population growth and food insecurity, seaweed farming could provide a sustainable, nutritious source of nourishment without the destructive footprint of industrial agriculture. And finally, biodiversity. The African sea forest is a sanctuary. Fish populations thrive in its shelter, making it a natural reserve that supports local fisheries. Without it, coastal communities would lose not only a resource but a protector. For this forest doesn't just feed life, it defends it. But like so many of Earth's wonders, this forest is not invincible. Rising ocean temperatures are already placing it under siege. Kelp thrives in cool, nutrient-rich waters, but as the seas warm, entire stretches wither and die. And it is not just the heat. Overfishing strips away the creatures that maintain balance. When abalone, lobsters, and fish are taken in unsustainable numbers, the ecosystem balance depreciates. When any level of predator vanish in large percentages, grazers multiply and the delicate architecture of the kelp begins to collapse. This isn't just a future threat, it's happening now. Around the world, vast swaths of kelp forests have already vanished. In some regions, over 90% of kelp has disappeared in just a few decades. Imagine towering forests the size of cities erased, leaving only barren seafloors. The one question we should ask ourselves is that if we lose this forest, what else do we lose with it? Because it won't only be food and medicine, not only a powerful ally against climate change, but also a link to our own survival story. This is no longer about discovery alone, it is about responsibility. The choices of one generation may determine whether these submerged forests endure or are remembered only as myths in the tides. Despite human activities, there is hope. In South Africa, divers and scientists of the Sea Change Project have dedicated their lives to exploring and protecting the great African sea forest. Their work has shown that kelp forests are astonishingly resilient. When given space to breathe, they return. When waters are protected, life explodes back into abundance. Think of what this could mean. A renewable source of food and medicine, a natural defense against climate change, a living classroom for future generations who might one day dive into these forests and thank us for keeping them alive. It is not an exaggeration to call it a submerged Amazon with vast, vital, teeming with life, and holding secrets we have only begun to uncover. We began with a simple question: where is the world's greatest forest? The answer was never on land. It was here, beneath the waves, swaying in silence, hidden in plain sight. But perhaps the more important question is this: if the ocean hides forests, what else does it hide? Miracles waiting for us to protect or to destroy. The story of the great African sea forest is not just about the ocean. It is about us, about our past, our present, and the choices that will define our future. If you enjoy hidden facts and documentaries like this, help us share its story. Subscribe if you want to save these forests, and join us as we uncover more mysteries of our planet, both above and below the waves.